and welcome back to the Happy Teacher pod with Jenny and Roxy. So today, last episode, if you wanted to give it a listen back, if you haven't already, we were talking about mental health and we were sharing our own experiences of kind of struggles that we've had. But, thankfully, we're now happy teachers doing the Happy Teacher pod. This particular episode, we thought it'd be quite interesting to delve into holidays and how the holidays help create happy teachers, because I think especially amongst non-teachers there's kind of a bit of a view of teachers and their holidays, but I think we'd both argue they're very, very necessary for our mental health. So I thought we'd talk about that, but first of all, Roxy has got her Break-time Banter and I have no idea what it's about. Apparently I've never heard this story.
I don't know. Oh, you may have heard this story. I'm not sure, but it was been a long time ago that you heard it. So I used to work with a colleague who was having an observation on the day that he came into work. He knew he was having an observation. It was period 1. He was having his observation. Yeah. And he'd hung his shirts up in the, in the back of the car, you've got like a little hook.
Yeah.
Back. It's like, where you can pull down the thing for the, I can't even think what it's called.
I do know what you mean. Yeah.
Anyway, there's a hook there that you can like hang up suit. So he hung up his shirt and I think the rest of his suit, and he was driving down an A road, and it was a really hot day, and he'd opened all of his windows that the shirt flew out the window on the A road. So he'd come to school in his like sliders, like it was literally a really hot day, sliders, like t-shirt and shorts or something like that. Anyway, yeah, but the observation was with the head teacher. Okay. Now with our old head Jenny, like you know who it is, like, I'm not going to name her name, but it was like he was stressed. He was like, oh my god, I've got an observation with the head teacher, my shirt has flown out the window.
Do I know this person as well?
I think you might. Yeah, you do know this person. So he messaged like our humanities like WhatsApp group, and he was like, "Has anyone got a shirt that they can lend me?" And like one girl who lived close to the school, like one of the other humanities teachers who lived really, really close to the school, she was like, "Oh, I'll bring a shirt of my boyfriend's to school."
God, I was having this vision of him like squeezing into a blouse.
Well, I'll tell you what, the shirt that the friend from work, when she bought her boyfriend's shirt, oh my god, it was so small for him that it was literally gaping. Like, so he managed to get it on somehow. I don't know how he managed to get it on, but he said then obviously his tie was trying to disguise like most of the gaping at the center, but he literally taught a whole lesson, like literally like kind of like this, like walking around like this. And then I think he told her afterwards. I was like,
I'm about to say, why didn't he just tell her what had happened?
No, but it was just like, honestly, so I've had ones where like colleagues' trousers have ripped, but they actually, do you know what? This was someone that we both knew. Their trousers ripped right down the seam of the trouser, and he ended up wearing some school trousers instead. So like the boys' school trousers that I know.
Trousers. You wore some children's trousers instead.
Yeah, he wore children's trousers.
I honestly feel like we need a whole episode on this, because we were talking about this, weren't we? I this week have had quite a bad tear, and I've had quite a few tears
of your clothes.
Of my clothes, to clarify, whilst in lessons.
It could have been something else. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever ripped a piece of clothing that badly that I've needed to. Maybe I don't know. No, I don't think I have. I don't think I have.
Yeah, I mean, another time I'll tell you about the time that I challenged someone else to an Irish dance competition, and skirt went right down the middle. Period one.
That's Jenny for you, by the way, challenging someone to an Irish dance competition. That's Jenny through and through, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, that leads us nicely into this episode. So We were talking about, like, we always have a little debrief before the episodes, and we were kind of talking about that, you know, we really, really need holidays because that you kind of like, you need that, your body needs that break. It needs that kind of time to recoup and revitalize itself, because you literally just have to give so much energy when you're at school. Like, I don't know many teachers that just, I mean, you can't give zero energy, because you literally would just be sitting at the front of the classroom doing
I
nothing.
even think if you work in the nicest school where they've thought about everything they can to do with workload, it's just the sheer fact that you are on your feet, in putting on a performance every single lesson.
Yeah, definitely. And like, you know the classes as well, like some of those classes you need to like really be like giving it large
Bring your A game.
to like make it through the lesson, and to feel like, you know, they're going to learn something. And you're right, it's like you're giving this performance like pretty much every single lesson. I don't have very many
Every
lessons
single
where
lesson, even if you've got whatever the class is, there's something that you've got to, I don't know how to kind of describe it to kind of non-teachers, but you kind of have to mask things a bit, don't you? Like sometimes a child will really annoy you because they've been really rude, but you don't maybe want to make too much of a scene of it, but you still want to make sure they know the rules, but you have to kind of,
also, I
stay
read
calm. Or
yeah, like I read something recently, like teachers within an hour or whatever of their lesson make more decisions than like somebody doing surgery, for example. So like that idea that you're kind of like doing decision after decision after decision.
because it's not a set, this is how it's going to go, is it? You might have your lesson planned, but you've no idea what 30 characters are coming into your class that day in terms of what's just happened in their previous lesson that's annoyed them, what's happened at home this morning that's put them in a bad mood.
Yeah.
It's almost that, I always call it, this sounds terrible, but whack-a-mole as well. Like, you know, if it's a day when their homework's due in and you just want to do the starter and they all want to come up to you, Miss, I've printed it out, Miss, I'm like, oh my God. I'm not physically, just to clarify, whacking anyone. But it's almost, I'm just like, I just want to get started. But there's just all these tiny little unanticipated things, even 15 years into your career. But you're like, oh, I didn't think someone would ask me, does it matter if I've laminated my homework? Like, no, it's fine. If you've laminated your homework, you've laminated your homework.
Wow, you get kids laminating their homework. This shows the different types of schools that we work in, because my kids do not even have a computer, and I have to like...
I'm saying laminating just because I'm laminating everything at the moment. It might even be me, not the kids.
Laminate everything. You've got to save the planet.
Oh, let's definitely edit this out. I don't want to sound like I'm not. Forget this laminated bit.
I don't know if I'm going to edit this bit out.
Just because I do loads for the planets. I like my laminator. I'm trying to preserve work. I don't want it to go missing, so that's why I laminate it. Anyway.
Okay. I know. Anyway. It's all right to laminate something. But yeah, so what I was going to say is that, like, getting to that point, especially, I spoke about this in the previous episode, that December, up to December, usually a 7 or an 8 week term, and we're all like on our knees by the end of it, because it's literally just constant, decision making, brain like being bombarded with like so many different things, that by the time you've got to that break, like often you will get really ill or feel really run down.
On that point, I was going to say, do you get a 2-week October half term or just a 1 week?
No, I just get a 1 week. And so for me, that 1 week October half term, I don't even feel properly refreshed, to be honest.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I think I know we're not doing kind of getting the bin go for the win, but I think a win that a lot of state schools have done is they work out their inset days and their twilights, and they do a 2-week October half term, because I just think it's so necessary. Like, that September to October, you get quite run down because it's, all the new classes, learning all the new names, putting all your behavior routines in place. And then if you don't, and then quite often you end up with a cold. So if you don't have that second week to fully recover, then trying to do that winter half term up until Christmas, yes, you've got the excitement of Christmas, but actually from a teacher's point of view, you've got kids getting more and more excited and harder to kind of get them to listen to you.
Yeah, definitely.
The amount of times that, we're gonna have a fun lesson today. It's like, well, obviously every lesson is fun with Miss Byrne.
Yeah, they're all fun lessons, guys. All fun lessons. I'd like to say that all my lessons were fun, but they're definitely not all fun. I tried to do some kind of fun element.
You do loads of fun lessons. I've poached loads of your fun lessons.
I tried to do at least one fun element in the lesson, like even if it's like a quick, like 5-minute keyword bingo. Love a bit of keyword bingo, me. That's I think I should be like, you know, Roxy keyword bingo. But yeah, so like that feeling of being like run down. Like I'll give you an example. So we got to the December break this year and I got less than 2 weeks, which some people like, oh, I'm sure that's fine. Like, you know, you still got, you know, however many days it was. I think it was like 11 days in total, whatever else. And I was like, I was dying when we went back on the 4th. And I mean, it wasn't helped out by the fact that both my kids were really, really ill pretty much over the whole of the Christmas period. And so therefore, and I was quite ill at the beginning of it. So I think, you know, obviously that didn't help. I didn't feel recovered. I didn't feel rested. And so, yeah, like, I just think it's one of those things, isn't it? And I think like we really want to speak about today, like the well-being, like side of things that's so important, even in the holidays. So like not we spoke about in a previous episode like actually kind of doing well-being you know, after school, like not just making it a thing for the holidays, but it's also like super important in the holidays to take care of your well-being and just really fill up your cup again, or like whatever you want to kind of call it.
I think you raised a good point there though, that the holidays are crucial, but they're almost kind of more crucial than they should be because teachers get so run down during term time. So part of kind of well-being in the holidays is actually almost taking it a week or two back and taking care of yourself towards the end of term. So I know there's like a mentality sometimes amongst teachers where they're really getting ill. They should probably take a day or two off school and recover. But they're like, oh, I've only got 5 more days to go and then I've made it to the holidays. And then if they've got that 1 week October half term, they spend the entire half term ill. And it's like, that's not you as the teacher matter more than that. And actually, that's not good for anyone because, as you say, you've not had that week to, you know, replenish yourself. And so I think.
Like what was the analogy that you told me before about running a marathon?
Yeah, so I was reading some different articles and yeah, I'll post them in the show notes. So it's all from the charity Education Support, who then have lots of collaborations with other people. So this was a collaboration with the Anna Freud charity. And they were talking specifically about summer and how to spend your summer holidays. But I think the kind of analogy still holds. It was this idea that getting through each half term, it's almost like you're doing a marathon, you're a runner. And then you get to the first day of the holidays and you've crossed the finish line. So therefore, just like a runner, you've got to take time to fully relax, replenish, recover from what you've just been through, which is quite an intense, long thing to do. So a marathon or a 7-week half term. And I thought, yeah, that was quite interesting. It's like, yeah, it is a bit like that. It's a long haul run. And you can't just have a really busy holiday and then hope to be okay again for the next marathon.
Yeah, and then like on the other side of that, like you want to do things in the holiday, like you want to kind of like, because you're trying to fit lots of things in, like you want to see your friends, like you want to spend time with your kids, you might want to go on holiday, like actually like fly somewhere and like do like, you know, do a fly and flop holiday or whatever else. And I feel like you want to fit all those things in, and then sometimes like there's even a point where I'm like, actually I don't want to book anything in for half term, for example, because I'm like, well, actually I just don't want to do anything. Like I
just want to slow your pace of life down.
Yeah, exactly. And so I do think it depends on you as a person. Like I'm pretty much like go in the holidays. Like I want to do lots of stuff and I do plan lots of things. And sometimes I'm forced to slow down and not do those things, like over the Christmas break, because, you know, we had to cancel lots of things, like not do lots of things because all of us were really ill. But I think it's really difficult because you want to recover, but you also want to do lots of things. And so it's like really hard to get that balance and make sure that you are taking care of yourself, you are recovering, but you're also doing those things that you really love to do. Like, what do you really love to do, Jenny, in the holidays? Because I don't think I've ever asked you what you really love to do in the holidays
Yes,
specifically.
well, I'm a bit like you in that I like to do quite a lot, but I also know that if I only just did quite a lot, I'll end up not feeling relaxed.
Mm.
So, I like my, I'm not going to say I do a spreadsheet for a half-term holiday. I don't. I might do for a summer holiday, but I like my organization and my schedules. But I would schedule in a day where I'm not saying yes to anybody for having a play date, or so I might think over a week we might have, I don't know, two play dates, an organized family day. I might see friends 2 or 3 of the nights.
Mm.
And then, but I'd make sure like on this particular day, we don't have anything planned. Our plan, there is a plan there, and the plan is to not do anything and just to kind of stay local. And I'm very much in the holidays about getting outdoors as much as possible, come rain or shine.
Actually, I think that's a really important point about the having days where you've almost like input the day to not do anything.
Yeah.
It's not just because I've fallen foul of that before, where I've literally arranged something for every single day, and then I'm like, I get to Sunday and I'm like, whoa, like I've got school tomorrow, and this is gonna be mad because I've not even had like a minute to kind of do anything. That is just basically being lazy and not kind of like doing anything specific. Like I'm the same as you. Like I love getting into the outdoors and stuff. Especially with the kids. Like I like to arrange like a few kind of things where we're going outside. Like my kids love a little forest walk and whatever else. But I think it's important to put those days in as well. And I like that, not saying yes, like basically like a not saying yes day, like not saying yes to everything that people are kind of, because the thing is you will have lots of people like offering things up that you will want to partake in and you will want to do, but you kind of like put those days aside to really kind of fill up the soul.
Yeah. And whether that's, as we say, like going outdoors, going into the forest, whatever it is. Sometimes it's just like having a whole morning where you're like, oh, it's 11 o'clock and we're all still in our pajamas.
That's
we
cool.
Obviously haven't
like,
left the
Nice.
house.
Yeah.
Bake some cakes or whatever it is. But I think the main thing for me, even if I'm arranging all these, activities, they're never for the whole day. So I'm consciously making sure over that holiday, the pace of life has slowed down. So like alarms are not set. So if someone wants to meet me and it involves an alarm, it's like, no, we're meeting later. I basically, in my head, I don't know how much people know this, but I don't meet anyone in the holidays before 10 a.m.
Oh, I would be the same. I would be exactly the same. First of all, I'm not a morning person at all. So I do not like getting up in the morning anyway, even if it's to go to work. And I say this to the kids all the time at school. I'm like, do you think I like getting up at like 6 in the morning? Like, I don't like it. Like, do you like it? No. Okay, well, as an adult, I don't like it either. So yeah, 100% in the holidays, no way. I mean, I definitely, like, part of my holiday well-being is having sleep, like good long amounts of sleep. Like I literally love my sleep, and that is something that I always try and input as well. Like, you're not meeting me really early in the morning, like it's never happened.
Do you know what? I don't know why that just made me think of it, but one of my other things, and this is a bit harder to kind of impose on people, but when you teach, so much of it is that you lose your voice, don't you, if you're not careful. And it's not because you're shouting all the time, it's just the sheer volume of like the sheer amount of hours of the day that you have to talk, just to kind of explain what the task is, or explain where people are sitting, or to give praise out, or whatever it is. And I just kind of, over the holidays, almost kind of think on these say no to thing days, I'm almost like, I'm going to just not talk as much today. Like, I just want to rest my voice.
Yeah, do you know what, actually, though? I know what you mean. Like, sometimes it's like nice to be in the silence. Like I do kind of do that quite. And actually, one of my friends called me the other day, and I was sitting in the car in my driveway for like just 5 minutes, like not very long. but in silence, like by myself. Like just to
Yeah.
kind of like, you're right, not speak, not have to answer a question, not have to like do anything for anybody. Just
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Like drawing, I don't do this as much anymore, but maybe I've just trained my children well enough that I don't have to. But during COVID, I trained them into knowing what me time was, and my personal space. And at certain points, I'd have my coffee and they'd come near me. I'm like, nope, nope, this is still got 4 minutes of me time. And I just,
You're good.
like, I know you're 3 years old, but you're fine, and I need this.
Yeah, no, you do need that like 5 minutes piece, right? Like, and that definitely needs to happen in the holidays as well. But I think like we also wanted to touch on that not everybody can kind of relax as much in the holidays as well, that sometimes there are things that get in the way. I know you mentioned about like supply teachers, and I didn't even think of this.
Yeah, no, I hadn't thought of that. I was just doing some research for this episode, and obviously we can talk about this in more detail later, but we obviously do a certain amount of weeks teaching a year, but we get paid for 52 weeks a year. But if you're, on a contract or fixed term or supply, you're only paid for the days that you're working. Some people are just paid a daily rate, aren't they? Or maybe they're paid for doing one half term. And then, if that's the situation that you're in, and then you see this 6-week summer holiday looming, it's not something where everyone's like, oh, I'm so jealous that you got all the holidays. It's probably like a really fearful experience, because you think, oh, I've still got to pay rent, or I've still got to pay the mortgage, but I've got 6 weeks of income. And I found this, I think it was one of the kind of educational recruitment consultancies, and it was kind of giving supply teachers advice for what other work they could do in the holidays. So it was like, oh, have you thought about tutoring? Have you thought about helping run sports camps? And
yeah, because it's true actually, because that people in those positions, and even like admin staff, they get paid like pro rata, don't they? So obviously they still get their monthly wage, but obviously they don't get as much because it's not throughout those weeks as well that we're like on holiday or whatever else. So I think sometimes it can be quite stressful in that sense. And then you also mentioned about the loneliness as well, which again, I think because I'm always kind of like surrounded by my kids, or like my immediate family, or like friends that I kind of like speak to quite often, whatever. Like I don't really think about that. But actually, what if you were a teacher from abroad? Like you don't have a lot of family around you.
The area.
Yeah, that's true. I've worked with a lot of teachers that moved to London to teach, and they don't.
Or you maybe know friends, but none of your friends that you've moved to be near in London are teachers. So you've got this time off, but they don't. I just think people have a view about teachers in the holidays, and I think actually there's probably significant groups of teachers for various reasons, albeit if they're a supply teacher or if they're new to the area, or just might actually find them quite hard. And I think it's also that massive contrast that school is such a social place, isn't it? I mean, if the school has a staff room or a common room,
and so you're right,
time to build relationships, and then you've got this community with you, 5 days a week if you're full time, and then if all of a sudden you've got these 6 weeks and you don't see people that regularly, and it could just actually be quite a difficult time.
Yeah, and I think like again that's something to note and something to be kind of aware of, that it's not it's not easy for everybody, and we don't want to sit here going like, yes, we do all of our well-being stuff, like and everything's all hunky-dory. Like no, or not all holidays go the way that we want them to go, or like we can't do the things that we want to do, but we just try. I know that me and you both, like, we're big like kind of like organizers, like we like organizing things, so like obviously we do try and kind of like organize things for the holidays, just to kind of keep that keep your cup full, as I said before, and have that well-being element.
The other aspect of that as well, so we're saying, we've got quite a nice situation. I don't think either one of us are complaining about the holidays, but the slight downside we do have as teachers is that we also have to fit in a lot of life admin to the holidays, because I mean, you're full time. It's a little bit different for me now that the children are at school, and so I do have a bit of time during the week when I'm not working at one of my various jobs. Just want to stress that I do other things as well. But when I was full time, it was almost like, okay, I've got this week off, but I've got to book a dentist appointment for me, and I've got to do a dentist appointment for the kids, and I've got to go to the post office, and I've got to I've got to go to the dry cleaners, like things that you cannot do in your lunch break as a teacher because your lunch break is quite short and you've got a GCSE clinic or whatever it is. And I think it's people, again, I don't want to say like all people think this about teachers, but the people that do complain about teacher holidays and how long we get, it's like actually a lot of our day-to-day life we don't get done during term time. Like we have to do it in the holidays.
Yeah. No, you're right. That is true, and that does definitely happen. And a lot of the time, for example, like I don't like to go away usually in half terms because they're only a week long. And you're right, with fitting loads of other things in, it's just not really, in my mind, it's not really worth it. So if we're going away as a family, we like to try and either go away Easter or the summer holidays, basically. That they're the kind of ones, potentially Christmas. I don't know. We've never really been away at Christmas before, actually, but I don't know if you
only got 11 days. There's not much time to go away.
Yeah, this time maybe not. Maybe next year. All right, I've already looked at next year. Okay, next year.
Is it better next year?
I get 16 days next year, so
okay,
yeah,
good.
Bit better than 11. I'm not going to complain about that at all. Anyway, I think this is a good point to do. Get in the bin, in for the win, or whatever it was called.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've kind of been alluding to it all episode.
Yeah.
My get in the bin is a very small proportion of the population that think teachers get too many holidays. And so, you know, this, what are you complaining about? You only do 9 till 3 and you've got all these holidays. And I just think actually, I'm not going to try and say, you know, we get the same amount of holidays as other professions. Clearly, we do get a little bit more. But hopefully this episode has shown that, you know, some of that time is spent doing life admin that we can't do during term time. Some of it is spent planning and doing marking and things like that. We haven't really mentioned that, but it is spent doing things for school. And also that it's really necessary for both the students and the staff to actually have a chance to kind of, as you say, kind of fill your cup up again. So in terms of,
by the way,
say again,
the kids need it too, by the way.
They do. Like, and also, like, any parents listening, you'll know this because you'll notice the last week before Christmas, you all talk about it in the playground, because I'm one of the parents, and you talk about that your kids just need the holiday and they're exhausted and they just need a lie-in. And it's like the adults don't feel different. Like, we're doing the day that they're doing, but we're the one at the front performing and planning all the lessons and doing all the marking. And yes, we're adults, not children, but it's pretty exhausting. And so we do need the holidays. So that is my get in the bin. I'm not sure what the go for the win is. I guess it's just, I would like everyone to appreciate that teachers need the holidays.
Well, if you're watching that on YouTube, you just saw my eye roll there. So yeah, like I just basically I think it really came to light in the last year. You know, last year when we were doing a lot of the teacher strikes, or when the teacher strikes were going on, lots and lots of people love to mention our holidays at that point in time, that essentially we get, you know, however many holidays a year, and so therefore we shouldn't strike because we don't deserve to get paid more. But you know, that I don't think those two things go hand in hand with each other. But I think non-teachers, a lot of the time, they kind of like to clump everything together. And so I do agree with the get in the bin, because actually I don't like the idea of kind of clumping everything together. Okay, well, just because we're striking doesn't mean that we shouldn't have this, you know, the holidays still, or just because you know, like the childcare might be hard to find for a parent in those holidays, doesn't mean that teachers don't deserve to have holidays too. I don't know, it's just like one of those that can be people kind of always love to throw the holiday thing in when we've got any kind of complaint as teachers. But you get more holidays than everybody else.
And I think it's linked to what I was saying as well, when people think, oh, you know, you only do 9 till 3. It's like, if you actually look at the length of a school day and the kind of average amount of hours a teacher does per week, they're doing way more than their allocation per week.
I don't know what teacher does 9 till 3, but it's definitely not like me or you. Like, there's no way. Like, I get to school at like 7:30, 7:45. If you've been watching my Instagram stories, you'll know that this in the last week I've been getting there at 8 because I just like literally couldn't get out of bed. But yeah, usually like 7:45, I'm in work and I do not leave work till about 4:30. So actually, I am well more than doing.
You're doing more than the 9 to 5, aren't you? There,
as other people that are working full-time jobs. So
yeah.
yeah. So I don't see a problem in having the holidays too. But yeah, I mean, listen, like, I think this is something to just kind of reflect on and think about, and I always like to try and be better in the holidays. So
yeah, and I guess we're doing this episode, aren't we? It turns out we've got different dates for our February holidays, but we did that in mind. And then I guess what we can do after the holidays is kind of talk about how our holidays went, and did we practice what we preach? Like, did we fill up our cups?
Yeah, so I have I've got different holiday to my husband a couple of weeks ago. Checked it out, and yeah, so that's going to be an interesting one. Definitely, yeah, we could do a review episode.
Like, what have we learned and what can we take forward to the next half term or the next holiday?
That'd be nice. Okay, well, thanks for listening, and next
I was going to say, tune in for the next one, or obviously tune in for all of them, but the next one's our first guest speaker. So I mentioned it in the last one. It's Emma Shepherd, and she's the founder of Paternity Teacher Project. A lot of you probably heard of her. Give it a follow on. She's more on Twitter, or X as we call it, rather than Instagram, but she is on Instagram as well. So you can find out a little bit more about her, but she's going to talk to us a lot about mental health and kind of navigating pregnancy, parenthood, whilst being a teacher as well. So hopefully it'll be relevant to a lot of people.
Okay, thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you. Bye.